And welcome to the daily space weather. A lot of stuff to cover today. 0 sunspots, 10.7 centimeter radial flux, 68 solar flux units. Looking at the sun on 171 angstroms, we see some bright areas right in the Earth-facing zone here. There is a plage rising underneath my pointer. Again, no sunspots, and there is a coronal hole connection happening now. We're going to be making 2 videos today because there is a ton of stuff to cover. Here's the GOES X-ray imager, and you can see that blurry looking region there. That's that rising plage. And let's look at the 193 angstroms view. And we see that coronal hole just rising into the Earth-facing view here. And that is in the process of magnetically connecting with Earth right now. We have seen an uptick in earthquakes and a downtick in volcanoes. There's a radial flux graph. I've drawn in this orange line so you can see where the 70 mark is, as that is kind of the difference between solar minimum and normal conditions. If you see it below the 70 line, that's solar minimum conditions, and it's at 68 right now. Let's talk about the mission. It's to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics, to raise the awareness of the general public of the relationship between space weather and Earth effects. It's kind of important, folks. You live in space. To connect and consult with media organizations to multiply our reach, hence this YouTube channel. To demonstrate cutting-edge proof-of-concept solutions to problems. To publish scientific papers in a multidisciplinary manner, including but not limited to the sciences you see before you. To assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomenon in order to optimize value, reduce risk and liability, save lives and resources, and adapt no matter what the adversity is. And also to not be ossified in our beliefs. If you're ossified in your beliefs in science, you got problems. You should be trying to debunk your own theories, folks, not bury the evidence that they're wrong. Anyway, the last mission is to not be ossified in our beliefs and to treat those who are with love, respect, and inclusion to the scientific discussion. If you want to support that mission, please support us on Patreon. It's $9.99 a month. You will see stuff before anybody else by being a paid patron. So check that out, as YouTube is our main content source host right now, but Patreon is the source of funding on this channel, as YouTube Google, which is a scam, pays us absolutely nothing to make these videos. You can also donate on PayPal if you like. And if you're in the market for CBDs, check out the Hemp Lucid Spaced Out campaign. Specifically formulated for our spaced out viewers. Now, Hemp Lucid specializes in whole plant CBD tinctures. There are the full spectrum products. Still a sale going off, 30% off selected strengths of whole plant CBD hemp seed oil suspension. There's also 0 THC free certified Calci product specifically designed for athletes, as well as a bunch of other whole plant full spectrum products like edible gummies and body cream and lip balm and CBD wax. So check out the Spaced Out campaign. Let's talk about David Dubine's new book, Climate Revolution, as September is Disaster Preparedness Month. So let's talk about Step 5. During an economic crisis, unemployment is likely to go up as businesses struggle in a slowing economy. So yeah, diversify your income sources and your professional skill set. Don't get laid off at the time of an economic downtick, folks. Right now, jobs are plentiful in the U.S., and especially if you have an important one with high levels of job security, don't lose it, as there is a global economic downturn occurring right now. We've seen a recent spike in oil prices, despite usually an economic downturn causes oil prices to drop. The U.S. is now the largest exporter of oil in the world. Certain Middle Eastern nations are trying to draw the U.S. into the Sunni-Shia conflict. Keep in mind, folks, Sunni make up about 80% of the Muslim population on the planet, and the other 20% is Shia. Anyway, that's the point. Step 5 is diversify your income sources and professional skill set. If you want to buy the book, we've got links to that below the video also, along with the links to support our channel. Shout out to David Dubine. Thanks for all your assistance. And there's a link at oilseedcrops.org. So check that out if you are in the market for that book. Let's move on to more data here, as there's lots of stuff to cover. Now, you can see that the BTBZ has been shifting all over the place in the past 24 hours. That's the top pane, and that's a reference to the polaric portion. The BZ is the portion of the current sheet that's charged by one pole or the other, and the BT is the total field strength of the sun's B field. That's the interplanetary magnetic field on which you live, most likely. Please leave a comment if you're viewing the video from a different planet, solar system, galaxy, plane of existence, or multiverse. Also, we see the phi angle shifting all around, and we would expect to see this hover back in on 180 like it did here, as that coronal hole gets closer to the direct Earth-facing region. Solar wind density 5.23 protons per cubic centimeter, solar wind speed 424 kilometers per second. Moving on to more stuff. There's the ACE data, looking pretty corroborative, and you can see a current state of flux regarding things like the phi angle and the BTBZ, so that's something to keep an eye on. And when I say eye on, the pun's intentional. Again, we will be producing a second video today, as there's too much stuff to cover in the daily space weather. Planetary KP index back down to 2 as we reached geomagnetic unrest conditions yet again just before midnight UT last night. And here are the geospace magnetosphere movies. Today we're going to show the velocity and the density and the pressure. And if you're wondering what a Dobbs object is a theoretical object which can emit an electromagnetic field and alter the magnetic environment. There's no indication that a Dobbs object exists, but anyway, there's the velocity. Here's the density. And while a Dobbs object would do a thing like affect the magnetohydrodynamics, there's no indication that there's one there. So if you've got any evidence that a Dobbs object exists, I believe most of the people that think this is a real thing think it's in the magnetotail. Anyway, there's a density movie. That's 4 hours of data there. And here's the pressure. 4 hours of pressure data. Courtesy University of Michigan Geospace Model V1.5, the Space Weather Modeling Framework. We see most of the pressure in the magnetotail, and we see some striations in the solar wind coming in there, pulsating the pressure. And we do see some ionospheric charging in the sun side portion of the Earth. We'll get into it in a minute after we look at geospace ground magnetic perturbations. And here are those. 4 hours of data there. Please leave a comment if you believe the new North Pole will be on Madagascar, or perhaps on in the Bay of Bengal. Please leave a comment if you think the new South Pole will be centered on New Zealand. Seriously, leave a comment. Leave a comment anyway. Leave a comment for no reason at all. Here's the 6 hours of the ionosphere, and we see some sudden charge-ups on the sun side. We're getting up to, it looks like 12 megahertz again there. You see that little pink area over, what is that, over the Western Pacific. And let's show the last image. And there's the last image. Looking pretty normal at that point. Here's the X-ray flux, and we see still flatlined here. Not even a B-class X-ray flare since July 7th. There's the GOES electron flux. We're talking about the greater than or equal to 2 to 0.8 mega electron volts there. This is the regular everyday electron flux. Looking pretty normal here. Keep in mind the N's and M's are noon and midnight for the local satellite. So for instance, right now, the GOES 14 is just approaching midnight its time. Local midnight and noon for the satellite. Here's the relativistic electron flux, and we see that is back into a more normal range. We saw the highest levels in an entire year just about 10 days ago. No charging hazards, no surprise there. Here's where stuff is in the solar system. And there's where it'll be in 1 week, approaching another new moon. Right now the moon's very high in the sky where I am. And here's a ghost magnetometer looking pretty spiky here. And again, solar wind's in the state of flux once again, as well as the phi angle and a bunch of different variables. So very unsteady scenario right now. Here's the Gong 2 data. And you can see this active region right here, all this suspended plasma out here. Keep in mind, magnetic fields obscure other magnetic fields, folks. Now, this data is 1 hour and 17 minutes old. This environment can change suddenly with absolutely no warning until some of us figure out what's causing the variables to happen variably in the first place. Part of the reason why we started this channel at a time of solar minimum. There's a reason for it, folks. There's a method to the madness. Anyway, there's that. Here's the final image. And again, the state of magnetic flux is going to continue here as that active region is probably going to smooth it out, but it could suddenly evolve into a sunspot or suddenly devolve into a sudden crossing of the polarity of the current sheet. We've still got probably about 4 days until we reach this green portion here, which is charged up by the North Polar Z field. The North Solar Polar Field is charging that. That's why it's green. I did see a bulletin from NOAA. We're looking at the view from stereo A here now, folks. I did see a bulletin from NOAA about space weather that there was a filament eruption which apparently collapsed back down onto the chromosphere. And I'm not seeing it, although I do see a little bit of ejecta coming out there, another small coronal mass ejection right there happening at about small coronal mass ejection happening about 7:30 UT yesterday. There you can see that small coronal mass ejection. Could be Earth facing, but it's going to be very small and diffuse and nothing to worry about. Here's where stuff is above my head. Again, the moon very near its apex. If you check out in-the-sky.org, make yourself a sky chart. If you're wondering what stars are up there, today's featured star is, oh, I don't know. How about Dubhe? I don't know anything about it. Have yourself a read. Draw in the ecliptic. I like to face my sky chart south, as that's the way the ecliptic is, and that's the way my sofa faces. So, earthquake rundown. We see a outbreak of deep quakes. If you're in an area prone to earthquakes and you've seen deep quakes there, be prepared for a larger quake at the surface. Here's a 4.9 at Fiji. Kind of just north of that New Zealand rift zone where we've seen some large quakes there. In fact, there was a 7 magnitude. Anyway, here's a 4.9 at Fiji. That one is at 389 kilometers. Here's a deep quake at Bolivia, kicking off less than an hour after that. That one at 191 kilometers. Heads up western South America for a larger quake. You've been seeing deep quakes there for a long time. And right around that area, on the west coast, the west central coast of South America would be the place I would predict a large quake about to occur in the future. Perhaps the near future, as the magnitude 6 and 7 earthquake drought continues. Next on the list is a 4.7 in Indonesia. Here's a deep quake at Afghanistan, 4.2 at nearly 200 kilometers. Here's a 5.4 at the Azores, someplace I'm dying to go on vacation. The Azores is an old pirate hangout spot. It's part of Portugal, and it's totally awesome. Like something like 800 miles or something off the coast. It's technically part of Europe. What a cool place, the Azores. 5.1 at the Solomon Islands. This one also at depth. Heads up Oceania. Lots of deep quakes. Next one on the list is a 4.5 in Indonesia. That one also at depth. There's a swarm going on there. We're going to zoom in on it in a minute. Here's a 4.6 at Tonga. Here's a 5.2 at Papua New Guinea. 4.4 at the Solomon Islands. 4.6 at the Philippines. That one's at depth. 4.5 at Guatemala. 4.3 at Chile. Right in that same warning spot, folks. West, Central, South America. Heads up. If a building's going to fall down when you evacuate, be aware of it beforehand. Here's a 4.6 in Iraq as the Middle Eastern quake swarm continues day after day. Here's a 5.1 at Russia. That one is north of Japan there. 5.1 at Indonesia. 4.8 at Costa Rica. 5.1 at Papua New Guinea. 5.1 at Papua New Guinea once again. And largest quake of the past 24 came in while I was doing show prep, folks. Check it out. A 5.5 at the Philippines. Let's zoom in on that location. Here's a location of that quake. Pretty significant size. And there's a location of those swarms. Were you aware that volcanoes cause global cooling? Now, most people who've studied geology for any length of time are already aware of this. But here's another article talking about how Tambora erupting in 1816 was the cause of the year without a summer. Yes, that's right, folks. Volcanoes cause all kinds of different mechanisms to occur which cause cooling. It's not just the ash in the stratosphere. When we get an eruption that's able to inject other aerosols into the stratosphere, basically it increases the Earth's albedo. It makes more clouds form. It causes atmospheric effects which cause cooling. I mean, Dr. Schurer said, and including volcanic forcing and climate models can account for the cooling, and we estimate it increases the likelihood of extremely cold temperatures by up to 100 times. Anyway, link to the article below the video. And we got to keep moving on here as there's still a lot of stuff to cover. Let's stick with volcanoes here. The biggest volcano on Io, which is Mount Loki, the most volcanic object in the solar system, Jupiterian moon Io. Now, this is a cyclic volcano. In 2013, it started erupting again. The cycle changed to 475 days instead of 540. And we are right in the middle of that cycle. So we're due to see a large eruption from Loki on Io. Talk about a giant volcano. If it's big enough to see from space, please leave a comment if you think solar forcing is associated with volcanoes. Speaking of volcanoes, here's today's rundown. Looks like a small downtick, although Shivaluch is still exploding and producing a 13,000-foot ash plume. Mount Aso, 7,000-foot ash plume there. Sakurajima, still on the list, 10,000-foot ash plume there and explosive activity. Dukono exploding, 6,000-foot plume there. Ravanador exploding, 16,000-foot plume there. And Sabancaya. Please do not pole vault Sabancaya, as it could explode at any moment and is intermittently emitting. Check out lightningmaps.org to see what's going on above your head in a little more local area. Minneapolis is slated to get hit again, and St. Cloud's already getting hit. Next time you hear thunder, check out lightningmaps.org. You could even see the sound waves. Let's see if we can. Let's zoom in on St. Cloud here and wait for a bolt. There, you can see that. You see that concentric circle there? That's the estimated sound wave. And yes, you can make atmospheric pressure calculations based on whether or not this is correct. I'm sure it's based on sea level, and we won't get into the speed of sound on this video. Let's move on. to the windy.com pressure maps. If you see some anomalous low pressure systems in your area, well, you may be fixing to have an earthquake. Now, these things typically move from west to east. If you see one moving the wrong way or hovering in one spot, especially over a plate boundary, that could be an earthquake indication. And there is a long-standing low pressure right here in between the Philippines and Japan. That is an anomalous low pressure system there. Heads up Philippines and Japan. In fact, all of Oceania, but especially that area. South of Japan, that's the ultimate warning zone. Coronal hole's just about to connect. And that is one hovering low pressure system. Let's move on to more stuff, as there is still plenty to cover just in the space weather video, much less our censored versus sinkhole video, which will be coming out shortly afterwards. We've gone back. We've gone back to AccuWeather again. We've gone back. Here's a U.S. Doppler radar. And there's that storm hitting St. Cloud. Shout out Minnesotan viewers. Please leave a comment if you know who does the voiceover for Karen 2.0, Plankton's computer on SpongeBob SquarePants. Check out Null School. We're looking at the jet streams in the Western world. Are you familiar with the term meridional jet stream flow? No? Well, I would say Google it if I use Google as a verb, but I'm a little bit too rational for that, as I prefer objective search results. And I would rather use Google as a source of lawsuits. That's about the best thing I can think of to do to Google. Sue them. Yes, sue them. It's the new suing Google is the new getting paid for YouTube videos. Anyway, there's the Eastern Jets moving on to the shortwave. And here's the current state of affairs. We've got two tropical systems. That hurricane looks like it's going to hit Bermuda, perhaps missing it to the northwest a little bit. There's also a tropical system hitting Texas. Check it out. Anyway, there's the NASA GOES shortwave. And we're going to zoom in on that storm over Minnesota here in the water vapor map. But first, we'll check it out from the zoomed out view so you can see all the systems there. Please leave a comment if you've ever surfed in Bermuda. Consumer tip: Bermuda is a lousy surf spot unless there's a storm there. I'll bet you Transworld Surfing is already there, as there's probably already some killer sets showing up at Bermuda, a typically terrible surf spot unless there is something like a hurricane out there. And let's zoom in on that storm over Minneapolis, St. Paul region before we continue on to even more stuff. And we've centered the map here for you. You can see that violent convergence happening there. A lot of moist air kicking up and a lot of sudden cloud formation. Sudden cloud formation, folks. Anyway, we've left the date stamps on there. This will give you some idea of where things are headed if you're about to be hit by those storms. Let it play one more time and move on. To tell you to stay tuned for another video, folks. There's going to be a censored versus sinkhole coming out soon, as there's a bunch of stories to cover that we're not covering in the space weather video. So look for that. But also stay tuned for a bonus. And let's look at the 131 angstroms view for once. This is about 7 hours and 15 minutes of solar activity, folks, only from today, 9/18, which, by the way, is a palindrome, 91819. If you were wondering, the second last day of palindromes. Palindrome dates, if you use a single-digit month. Anyway, remember, when you're staring at the sun, don't drink, and if you drink, stare at the sun anyway, just don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back, and that atherosclerosis absent from your veins.